speak to Scott Lucas, who's International Politics Professor at the University of Birmingham. Thank you for joining us this morning. Since the last General Assembly, there's been a war broken out in Europe, of course, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Is that going to dominate this meeting of these world leaders?
Oh, it'll certainly be a major topic because, of course, Vladimir Putin's aggression, his attempt to conquer Ukraine, his failing attempt to do so, has really taken over the international stage since February. And I think in the context of what you've just been discussing, that you'll see Liz Truss highlighting that the UK is part of an international coalition to back Kyiv against that aggression, to provide the necessary economic and military assistance as well as moral support that takes place. And I think you're going to see many high-profile leaders that will be emphasizing that as well, including Joe Biden, as he meets various people from around the world. But the fact of the matter is that one of the people you will not see at the UN General Assembly is Vladimir Putin, because he has isolated himself. Even China is backing away from really getting too close to Russia because of the Russian difficulties and, in fact, the Ukraine advances that we're seeing in recent weeks inside that country.
Just broadening in relation to US and UK relations, I mean, Prime Minister Liz Truss has said that a free trade deal is unlikely to happen for a number of years. But many people, particularly those who voted Brexit, were told by the then US President, President Trump, that that would be one of the priorities of the US and the UK going forward. So do you think that there may be some challenges in the so-called special relationship?
I think that's an understatement when it comes to the trade deal. Because let me be clear, the idea of a quick US-UK trade deal was always a myth of the Brexiteers, always. Donald Trump was the only one in the US administration that would say that, and Trump would say anything. The fact is that any deal, even a medium-sized deal such as the one between Canada and the EU, took 7 years to complete. A U.S. deal would take even longer, and even if we got the deal, it would be difficult to complete it because of problems with health and safety and because of the effect on UK farmers. And on top of all that, the Johnson government effectively sabotaged any chance of a deal by threatening to suspend the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is a red line for the Americans. So what Liz Truss did yesterday is she admitted, you're not going to get a trade deal. And this whole idea of growth focus that you just heard about from Tom Harwood, that was sort of tied to the idea of a trade deal that was never going to take place. So yeah, challenges is an understatement for Liz Truss in terms of what you do economically when you have effectively isolated yourself, not only from the Americans, but from other markets in the post-Brexit environment.
So what do you think of the future of US-UK relations? I mean, do you think that there are opportunities for it to be stronger, or do you think it's largely in the British imagination?
Well, I think the fact is you've always had a relationship that's been very important since 1945 between US and UK institutions, especially the military, especially the intelligence connections, the diplomatic connections. And you've had a very powerful cultural connection on top of that. Think about what the Queen has meant for so many Americans and what we've seen in, just this past week in the full, round-the-clock coverage in the States. But the fact is that there have been serious political differences. And that's occurred from time to time in the relationship. And those differences have expanded in recent years because of Brexit. Again, we need to be honest about this. The Americans are saying, fine, you make your own way in the world, we understand that, but we would rather have you as part of a strong international community, and that means with good ties with Europe. And if you're always fighting with Europe, and if you're separated from Europe, that's not good for us, as well as saying quietly to the British, it's really not good for you either.